There are a lot of items and gear in Ocarina of Time. The majority of them are great items that can be used throughout the game to solve puzzles, assist you in combat, or even just to move around the world in new ways. Take the humble fairy bow or slingshot, for example. They're just simple projectile weapons, but prove to be essential tools in getting through dungeons or fighting enemies. Most of the items and gear are like this. The developers were cunning enough to make sure that there were uses for each item and gear throughout the game. Well, except for a few. In this video, I'm going to break down the 5 most useless items in The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, items that are so useless that even without them you can get almost every single piece of heart and advance through the entire mainline quests of the game and complete almost every side quest without ever having to use them even once. Like I said, there's a few of them that can be used for 1, maybe 2 heart pieces if you're lucky. So we're just going to dive right into it with this list of ultimate stinkers. The number 5 on our list are the wallet upgrades. Honestly, you can probably just say that outside of Kokiri Forest and obtaining the Deku Shield, rupees in general are pretty much worthless in Ocarina of Time. The only real thing that they can be used for, apart from, buying items that you don't really need to buy because you can just find them throughout the world, is buying magic beans. And here's the thing, you don't even need the wallet upgrade to get all the magic beans that can actually lead you to a heart piece. 2 of them in Kokiri Forest and in the Lost Woods don't lead to anything except for maybe more rupees. They don't even lead to a heart piece. So yeah, you can get every magic bean that you need in order to complete the game, and without even having to upgrade your wallet even once. But I'm getting ahead of myself here. Getting way ahead of myself here. First, we're going to go over how do you get the wallet upgrades in the first place. Well, you got to get 10 Skulltulas, and then you got to get 30 Skulltulas. For any player who's playing the game even casually, getting 30 Skulltulas is a walk in the park. You don't even really have to try. By the time you become an adult, the vast majority of players probably already have both wallet upgrades, even if you're not looking up where the Skulltulas are. This usually takes, a few hours of gameplay, but like I said, you're just going to come across these Skulltulas naturally, so there's really no reason to not get the wallet upgrades, because you're just going to get them by default, as long as you're not just skipping everything. Technically, it takes longer than anything else on this list because of just how many Skulltulas you have to collect, but like I said, you're probably just going to run across the Skulltulas naturally, so there's not really a reason to worry too much about how much time it takes. The main idea behind the wallet upgrades is that you are able to hold more rupees, so therefore you can buy more stuff, to buy the Goron tunic and to buy the Zora tunic, or if you're just super lazy and you don't want to catch a fish outside the Zora shop, you can go inside the shop and just pay 200 rupees for a fish. But here's the thing, Goron tunic costs about 200 rupees, but you can get one for free from Link of the Gorons. And as long as you don't get eaten by a like and don't kill the like, if it does eat you, you're gonna get it back if you ever lose it. Same thing applies to the Zora's tunic. The Zora's tunic is about 300 rupees, and they even say that only a rich family in Kakariko can afford to buy it because, obviously they give you the wallet upgrade. But here's the thing, you don't need to buy that either. You can free King Zora and he will just give you the blue tunic. There's no need to ever buy it. And again, if you get swallowed by a like and you lose it, that's on you for not killing the like and taking the tunic back. There's really no reason here to get a wallet upgrade because rupees themselves in Ocarina of Time are so easy to come by, and your wallet, even when you have the full wallet, is always full and it never empties unless you're doing a bunch of mini games. There's some mini games that you're gonna have to try multiple times because of just the way that it works. The Bombshoe Bowling Alley, for example, is really annoying with getting it. So the real only advantage to having a bigger wallet is that it lets you do the annoying mini games a few more times without having to go back to Castletown and refill your wallet. Other than that, not much of a use for the wallets. I'm sorry, they're just not helpful. I'm really glad that in Breath of the Wild they got rid of the wallet system. It's honestly a major complaint that is completely valid in Zelda games prior to Breath of the Wild, that rupees in general are fairly useless apart from the few required uses here and there. So as the first entry in the completely useless items list, the wallet upgrades make the cut as the only thing they're actually useful for is reducing the tedium in the Magic Beans quest and in minigames. Now that brings me to the next piece of gear in the list of things that are completely useless in Ocarina of Time apart from one thing. The the Golden Scale. To obtain this treasure of the Zoras, you must go to the fishing hole as a child and catch a record-breaking fish. When doing so, you received a nifty little heart piece as a worthy reward for fishing so well. And when you return and catch an even bigger fish, the owner has the audacity to present you with the Golden Scale. And it's not particularly easy to get. It's just a battle with RNG, which might last 5 minutes or could take repeated visits to the fishing hole for hours. It can also only be used for one thing special that couldn't already be done with the Silver Scale, which itself only has 3 uses in the entire game: to grab Ruto's message in a bottle, enter Zora's domain from Lake Hylia as a kid, and take the shortcut to Upper Zora's River from the Lost Woods. You may use the Golden Scale to get 1 heart piece in the entire game in the Lakeside Laboratory diving game. That's it. Nothing else it can be used for. The Golden Scale's extra 3 seconds don't do anything special. In fact, by the time you can get to the Golden Scale, you're either a single dungeon away from obtaining the Iron Boots, or you already have them, which as an adult completely nullifies any usefulness the Golden Scale might have had. Its usefulness could have been a thing in the Water Temple, if not for the fact that when you dive the full amount to get into a tougher hallway or something, you will move extremely slowly forward because it's just a dive, not an underwater swim. And you're better off putting on the Iron Boots anyways. So it's hard to get, takes a long time to get, and the only thing it can be used for is getting a single piece of heart in the Lakeside Laboratory. Now on to the next one. I'm getting this ball rolling. I have a bit of an issue calling this one useless because myself, and everybody who is just interested in Zelda lore in general will find some use for these items. Of course, I'm referring to the masks from the Happy Mask side quest. Be it the Keaton mask, the Zora mask, the Gerudo mask, any of those masks will get you unique interactions from various different characters throughout the game. To gain access to the masks is a bit of a trial, as you must complete an entire fetch quest to receive them all. This involves traveling all over Hyrule delivering masks to people who want them. At the end of the quest, the running man will fill your entire wallet, which, as established earlier, is worthless because you don't actually need rupees to complete this game at all. It's a relatively time-consuming quest with no real reward. The main use of any of the masks, as mentioned before, are for lore enthusiasts. You can wear a mask and talk to just about anyone for a unique reaction if they're programmed to have one. For example, wearing the Gerudo mask when speaking to Talon will prompt him to say that the mask resembles Malon's mother. Of course, if you wear the Goron mask and you speak to him again, he will say the same thing, which is probably just a programming error, but it's funny to think about. You can also use the Mask of Truth to speak to the Gossip Stones throughout Hyrule and pick up tiddlywinks of information here and there. But I digress. For the average player, these masks serve no purpose other than fun little interactions like these. Pretty cool, but ultimately doesn't help you in your quest. It's not until the next game, where nearly every mask is actually useful. Now, I want to take a moment, because this next one actually makes me kind of sad. I really like this item, or at least I want to say, I would love to have loved this item, because in every other Zelda game that it appears in, it is awesome. So you probably already know what I'm going to say. It's the ice arrows. I wish there was a reason for them to exist in Ocarina of Time, but there just isn't. Any collection of arrows in a Zelda game just doesn't feel complete without them. In order to obtain these arrows, one must complete the entire Gerudo training grounds. It can actually take quite a bit of effort to complete, but ultimately it's just a mini dungeon for Adult Link at the end of the day. The other mini dungeon for Adult Link is the Ice Cavern, which actually grants an objectively useful item, the Iron Boots. Now, it's not like the ice arrows are completely useless on the Nintendo 64, because in Majora's Mask, the ice arrows are actually quite useful. We don't talk about the 3DS version, of course, but they could freeze enemies, they could freeze water, and in general, just had a use besides doing a bit of extra damage against freezable enemies. Ocarina of Time can be completed in its entirety without ever using the ice arrows even once. They only do more damage against specifically vulnerable enemies and make bosses like Bongo Bongo marginally easier. But their biggest sin is the lost potential. There is a decent amount of evidence to suggest that at some point in the development, the ice arrows were intended to be obtained earlier in the game, because we actually find out that they can be used to freeze the Gerudo guards, though there is no reason to do so in the actual game itself, nor can you, because the Gerudo guards are not hostile towards Link. Before you can even get them, once the Gerudo training ground is opened, you can't use the ice arrows on any of the Gerudo guards. There's also a lot of enemies that the ice arrows are useful against, but by the time you get them, those enemies don't frequently show up. Like, for example, they actually work on the moblins. There's never a reason to come back to the forest temple after everything is said and done, so there's also more reason to believe that they may have been intended to be included in the game earlier, but just for whatever reason weren't. Every other Zelda game, I love the ice arrows. They're probably my favorite type of arrow to use in any other Zelda game. It's not this one. Just hopefully the remake fixes the ice arrows. It's one of my biggest hopes for it at the end of the day. Before we get to the most useless item, in my opinion, in Ocarina of Time, here's a few honorable mentions. The bomb chews are so horribly inaccurate and difficult to use that they fill an extremely small niche and only need to be used in the Spirit Temple a few times to advance. But otherwise, they are unwieldy and just too frustrating to really use. The fourth bottle is also ridiculously challenging and annoying to obtain, and ultimately, 3 bottles is fine. You don't really need the fourth for anything special. 3 bottles in the ice cavern is more than enough. Like the ice arrows, the fire arrows in this game are a lot cooler and more useful than the ice arrows because there's actually torches and everything that you can light with them, but they don't serve that much of a purpose. But they're not entirely useless. They have some uses in the game. And now for the last and truly irredeemably worthless item in Ocarina of Time, the Stone of Agony. This item is so pathetically bad primarily because in order to use it, you would have had to be the rich kid on the block who actually had a rumble pack. Because otherwise, it does absolutely nothing. To get this piece of garbage waste of inventory, you have to obtain 20 gold Skulltulas. Anyone playing Ocarina of Time without intentionally skipping the Skulltulas will eventually have enough to get this gear, just like with the wallets. You don't really lose anything by getting them, but they don't really help you with anything either. Honestly, the House of Skulltula side quest really is just a waste of everyone's time. You get 2 useless wallet upgrades, a bomb chew, which you can get in any other way, and of course, the Stone of Agony. You can also get a heart piece when you get 50 of them, which makes it the only useful item, because when you get all 100 of them, you just get more rupees, which I've already established don't do much in this game. So what exactly does the Stone of Agony do? Well, if you were fortunate enough to have a rumble pack in the N64 days of the game, or if you played it on the Wii U or Switch emulators, you get a nice little rumble when you are close to a secret grotto. These grottos are all across Hyrule, and some contain heart pieces, rupees, business scrubs. There's a huge variety of them to choose from. Seems useful. Except for the fact that the actual item that is used to get into the grottos are bombs, not the Stone of Agony itself. Just put a bomb down and blow open a hole. That's it. And many of these grottos are in such out-of-the-way places that even having the Stone of Agony doesn't mean that you'll even come close to finding them all in a natural playthrough of the game. Consulting an online guide serves to help significantly more than the stone can, and again, the stone only works in some versions of the game. Even its 3DS counterpart, the Shard of Agony, which works better, has the same problem. Knowing where the grottos is negates any actual use for it. So ultimately, the Stone of Agony just isn't really, like, in the context of the game itself, it's somewhat useful, but when you actually know where the stuff is, there is no purpose to actually having it. And again, you're not going to find those grottos without an online guide anyways. You're just not going to do it. I challenge someone out there to prove me wrong, because that would be funny for you to do that. I don't know why you would, but it would be funny if you did. At the end of the day, one of my hopes for the Ocarina of Time remake is that these items and others become more essential or more useful in completing the actual game itself. You know, I got my heart set on the ice arrows, man. Love those things in every other game. Never use them in this one. But I'd also love to see a little bit of influence from Majora's Mask to go into the masks like the Bunny Hood. The Stone of Agony could really pop off if they were going to use it for locating and tracking the actual secret grottos that you've run into, rather than just rumbling when you're slightly near one, you know? Mapping them out and, marking when they're completed or whatever, you know? But yeah, I want to hear, all of your thoughts about this in the comments, because maybe there's a couple that I missed that other people think are completely worthless, or maybe you want to fight me over my take on the Stone of Agony or the Ice Arrows. But subscribe for more content like this. I just really are looking forward to making more.